ADA compliance for websites in 2024 remains the same. The two best practices are WCAG 2.1, AA conformance, and posting an accessibility statement. Now, you want to make your website conformant with these technical standards, but one note I have here is that there are 15 issues that you need to prioritize. And the reason you're prioritizing 15 accessibility issues is because these are the issues that plaintiffs' law firms are claiming in litigation over and over again. So by prioritizing these 15 issues, we can reduce our risk of litigation as we are working on the accessibility of our website. And I have a course called the ADA compliance course that tells you exactly how to find and fix these issues, and then also strategically how to approach working on these issues. And I will link to this course in the description. But continuing on, there were three major developments in 2023. And so the first is on the accessibility side, the WCAG technical standards had a new version released, and that version was 2.2. So remember, WCAG is the acronym for the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. As I mentioned, these are the technical standards that tell us what we need to do to make our websites accessible. And so with 2.2, we saw a new version, but the important thing to note is this adds just 6 AA success criteria or things to do for accessibility over 2.1. So 2.1 has 50 AA, and then WCAG 2.2 only added 6 additional. We definitely want to focus on these first. And what's important to know is that most people aren't even WCAG 2.0 AA conformant. So 2.1 is the best practice. Once we get there, if you want to, then you can work to 2.2. There was also a notice of proposed rulemaking issued by the DOJ for Title II. So the DOJ is the Department of Justice, and they are the regulatory and enforcement agency behind Title II and Title III of the ADA. What this notice of proposed rulemaking was stating was that we intend to publish regulation for website and mobile app accessibility, and it's going to apply to entities under Title II. So the entities under Title II are public entities. Think of your state and local agencies. But importantly, once the framework for this regulation comes out, it's probably going to carry over to Title III, and then it's going to affect private entities. So I don't know when this is coming out, but this could be in play for 2024, but this is under the way, and it is a significant development. But guess what? Even when regulation comes out, if you are fully WCAG conformant, you are going to be ahead of the regulation. Also, if you post an accessibility statement, you are going to be ahead of the regulation. So the DOJ already says that the ADA applies to websites, and we've seen the DOJ take private enforcement actions against various entities. And when we look to the settlements that have resulted from those private enforcement actions, what do they ultimately come down to? What I just told you, WCAG conformance and posting an accessibility statement. And again, WCAG conformance can take a while to get through. We need to know of all the accessibility issues that exist on our website, and then we need to fix them. So that can take several weeks, if not months. So again, best practice is WCAG conformance, but the way in which we approach accessibility affects our practical risk of litigation. We don't want to be involved in any situation where the plaintiff's lawyers send us a demand letter or file a complaint against us in court, because that is going to cost money. And because of that, we need to focus in on these 15 issues first. Now, the last major development happened recently, and the Supreme Court basically decided that they weren't going to decide whether testers had standing. And so when you think of testers, think of the plaintiffs that are suing different websites over and over again for accessibility. And so the issue here is whether people that aren't genuinely availing themselves of these websites, they aren't genuinely trying to purchase anything, whether they have standing. And so the Supreme Court elected not to make a decision. So because of that, it's really business as usual. Think of it as nothing has really changed. If they had decided that testers didn't have standing, then that could have dramatically impacted the legal landscape, but they did not. And so as it is, everything remains the same. This is a highly litigious environment. And because of that, you need to work on making sure that you don't get involved in litigation. You want to preempt litigation. There's no need in worrying about the technical aspects of this, the fact that there isn't a formal legal precedent. We don't need to argue that. This isn't mock trial in law school. What we need to do is we want to avoid costly litigation. So what we need to do is focus on these 15 issues. And then when we work on these 15 issues, then we continue on into full WCAG 2.1 AA conformance. I have an ADA website compliance guide. It is a written guide. I also have a video, and I'm going to link to both of those in the description, along with my ADA compliance course. And this is going to help you make your website so you be practically considered ADA compliant. And then of course, I also offer services, and I will link to the services and the training below. But this is the legal landscape for ADA compliance in 2024.